All right, folks, welcome to another episode of BBCG and Friends. And what a day! I have the Jersey Devil himself, Jack Coleman, with me.
I
Jack,
like that.
welcome.
I like
Yeah,
that. I've never heard that. Jersey Devil, the
yeah,
the Pine Barrens legend.
that's
Um,
right. That's
yeah,
right.
I remember actually going camping as a kid. It was like the Boy Scouts or whatever, and they were telling us all the stories about it and everything way back when. So good to hear it. Yeah,
Well, do you know that Springsteen has a song called "A Night with the Jersey Devil"?
I actually don't think I've ever heard that. No,
You should check it out on
I'll add
YouTube.
it.
He's even done a video for it. So
That's awesome. Good to know.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm here for. Um, so thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. So Zero Dark Coleman is back,
Yes,
and good to see you back on Twitter and X. Um, so today is June 3rd. We're recording this. This episode's gonna air next Monday, the 9th. But we
sweet.
just got the breaking news of Tom Thibodeau being relieved of his job
Yeah,
as the Knicks coach. What is your first reaction? This will be like Mutt Stack. It'll come out, 6
exactly.
days late. But
Yeah.
let me hear what you're thinking right now.
Hopefully less Jordan coverage as well. But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I mean, it seemed like the move that needed to happen was bound to happen kind of throughout the entire season. There was the narrative of, Thibs plays his guys too hard. How far can he actually get? And, losing how we did to the Pacers, especially that last game specifically, where it kind of felt like it was our own doing. It seemed like a no brainer to me. It was actually the very first gut reaction I had to losing was that I think he's going to go. I think Tibbs is going to go there. I don't necessarily have a replacement in mind right away. I know Kirk had mentioned Hurley. There's talk of obviously Jay Wright since you have all the Nova boys around.
Right.
I personally currently see them maybe going with an internal move, maybe someone that Leon Rose trusts inside the organization. Um, or someone who had previously been involved within the organization. I think that's where it's going to go. Again, I do see this as the first step in a downward spiral as well. This could have easily been the peak for them. I think this
Right.
happens. All of a sudden, guys like Josh Hart, Bridges get exposed. Maybe they're dealt or don't play as much, and all of a sudden you have a unhappy Brunson who took a bit of a cut on signing his deal. So I could see it. I could see the spiral as a fan that's been through some of the worst with this team. I could already see it happening, and this was always my first step in that direction. But hopefully, it works out and they move past the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for Tibbs as an old school
Yeah,
guy myself, the way he did it, but he definitely, I mean, all of a sudden, you played with a short bench all year, and
right.
then you try to switch it up and throw some guys in, and hey,
Well, that
Land,
exposed them.
yeah, Landry
Come
and
the
Wright,
playoffs,
yeah,
when
yeah,
when they had to, look down the bench a little more for those big minutes. And whenever Brunson and Towns were out, it was a struggle. But they
right,
had guys like Huck Porty, Kolek, Dadier, who all of them I really liked. But if they're not seeing the light of day during the season, you can't be putting them in the middle of the ECF. So,
exactly,
yep,
exactly. All right. Well, we'll be waiting on a next coach and then what moves follow with personnel. So that'll be an interesting summer for them for sure.
definitely. Yeah, I think
Uh,
across the league it'll be kind of wild.
yeah, it sounds like Giannis is going to get moved for sure, right?
Yeah, if I mean really where I'm at right now is if you can keep Brunson and OG Anunoby, I'm down for anything. Trade anyone
Okay.
you can for Giannis, and those three as a big three is very, very talented. So
Okay. Well, he's back. Boy,
I'm
Zero Dark
back,
Coleman
baby.
is
Yep.
back, baby. I'm
Yeah.
back. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little music.
Absolutely. Would love to.
So yeah, so I'm assuming at your age you're going to know and be into a lot of music that I'm not. But tell me about your folks and what they listen to, what you listen to through them, and
Right.
give me a little background on your musical story.
Definitely. Well, from a very young age, as honestly as long as I can remember, we always just had music playing throughout our house. We were very a musically driven family. Like we always just had it on, whether we're making dinner, whatever. Like there's always music playing. even to this day. So I'd say from my dad's end of things, he's very much Bruce Springsteen, big Bob Dylan fan. They're really kind of children of the '80s too. So my mom on her side was, Billy Idol and all the like '80s pop. I remember like 99 Red Balloons at a young age too. Like that whole era of
Right.
'80s music was really infused in me in such a young age, and something I grew to appreciate more and more as I got older. Like um, the more I listened to Bruce, the more I listened to Dylan, and especially more recently, I think those two have come about more and more for me. But then on my own side of things, I was very into rap, I'd say, in like middle school. Playing actually, funny enough, playing basketball and everything. That was kind of when I started to develop some of a musical interest of my own taste, because you're listening to stuff to pump up for games and during practice and everything like that. So I'd say I kind of started out. I can remember the very first album I ever bought, and this was on iTunes back in the day when you were buying the
Right.
individual tracks at 99 cents, and then it went up to $1.29, or albums. It was Recovery by Eminem. I remember that being like the first one that I was listening to nonstop, and fully purchased on the whole.
And when did that come out?
That was, I want to say, 20 or 2009, if I'm
Okay.
correct. I'll double
Mhm.
check that. Um, let's see, 2010, June 18th, 2010. So yeah,
All
right
right.
around then I started playing basketball, 2009.
Okay. And
Yeah.
this is before your ankles got weak. Is that a fair statement?
Uh they were never great. They were never great. But yeah, they were definitely a little bit better back then for sure.
Okay. So with the your folks' influences, like, did you go see Springsteen at a young age with your dad?
So that's the
Uh,
thing. I don't know. We never really got to a Springsteen show, and it's something that I keep harping on him. Like, we need to do this soon, before either he stops or gets too old, whatever. Like, we need to go, you and I, to a Springsteen show, and I think he's
okay.
always down for it. But we just never could line it up. I think the closest was we were looking at back when he was on Asbury Park about, what was that, a year or two ago.
Yeah, last
Um,
September. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So we were kind of thinking of doing that, but never worked around to get it done. So I think it's very much so something I would like to do, as he's getting older as well. So that's on the docket. I think actually in September, Bob Dylan, who I actually did see once when I was really, really little, and it was awful. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
I remember my ears hurting. But I've grown to really like Dylan over the years. But he's going to be performing in Jersey in September with. They actually mentioned on the show. I don't know if it's the same
Yeah,
uh,
it's
show,
the
but it's
Willie
the
with
Sheryl Crow, Willie Nelson.
Willie
Yep,
Nelson. Yep,
yep.
yep.
So there's plans that actually might be his Father's Day gift, to maybe go and do that in September.
And where is that going to be, at the Art Center?
Yeah, PNC. That's really
PNC.
the stronghold for me. I went to concerts there throughout high school, college even. I've seen a million shows there that are some of like the best nights, best memories that I have.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of shows there. I used to live in Westchester,
Oh,
so it
cool.
wasn't
Yeah.
that bad of a drive down to the Arts Center. Have you ever seen, like, hung out in Asbury? Been to the Stone Pony? Have you ever seen those
Absolutely.
shows? Yeah.
So who was it? Our family went, I think it was maybe 2 Christmases ago. It was like West Side Johnny and some
South South Side Johnny.
South Side, excuse me, South Side Johnny, and my dad will kill me for saying that. South Side Johnny and like some semblance of like a full band, and they were doing like
Right.
holiday music and everything in the Stone Pony. So I was there for that probably most recently. Another guy who's big up in the Boston area though, Sammy Adams. He's kind of like a white rapper who
Okay.
he would always do like a Christmas New Year's show. So I went to that, I think 2 years in a row back in like high school. So hung out there a little bit too. But yeah, the Stone Pony's amazing. There's definitely a few other times I've been there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just an iconic staple of Asbury. in general, Asbury is a spot where, we'll go to typically um, after the summer season dies down for locals. Like it's all the shore bars by me and Point Pleasant and Belmar and all that stuff. And then once that kind of all dies down, everyone seems to trek to Asbury in the winter. I don't really know why, but yeah, it's a lot of fun going out there and everything.
Yeah, I actually I went there in January once. It's got
Yeah.
to be 10 years ago to the convention hall,
Yep.
and they annually do a light of day benefit show,
Right. Yeah.
and Southside's always there, and Willie Nile, and a
Yep.
bunch of Garland Jeffrey. But Bruce performed that year. It was a not so hidden secret that he was going to show up. So I made the
Yeah,
trek.
that vaguely sounds familiar, and my dad actually may have gone to that. He was big into um, trying to find the shows where it was like Bruce adjacent in the area where he always thought Bruce would show to, and he would kind of like almost like pre-Twitter or anything when you had any clue of where anyone was, would kind of like through rumblings, whisperings, kind of just try and find Bruce at random events or shows or whatever. Um, I know he always brags about how he saw him St. Patty's Day somewhere and wished him a good St. Patty's Day that year and everything. So my uncle too, I think he's been to like 50 plus Bruce shows in his time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's clear that in the Jersey battle of Springsteen versus Bon Jovi, the
Oh, fuck
Coleman
Bon
house
Jovi.
the
Yeah.
Coleman house is a Bruce house.
Absolutely. I mean, we are more South Jersey. I like to say like South Central. It's not a real thing. My mom though was from up north, and that's more what I've come to learn, more Bon Jovi area.
Okay.
I've never liked Bon Jovi. I don't enjoy any of his music. It reminds me of just, I don't know, some rundown like biker bar type vibe to it. I'm not a fan
Yeah.
at all. Definitely a Bruce house.
Never been myself either. Even what
Yep.
about Chris the magician? He's not a Bon Jovi guy either.
Oh no, he's all Broadway and show tunes, and
That's right.
likes
That's right.
likes music in his own right, but
Hmm.
very much a different style than I do or my parents really do. But nonetheless, he's probably the most musically gifted in the family out of all of us. So,
What was the most recent concert you've seen?
oh, so I saw, when was it? I saw Drake and Migos. These are like rappers when I was
I
in
know Drake.
college. Yep.
Right.
When I was in college at TD Garden. Was there anything after? I know I saw Zach Brown band that summer following that in
Mhm.
at PNC.
Okay.
Was there anything after that? I mean, then it was kind of COVID, and I don't know if I've. Oh, you know what it was? The icon, the iconic picture of me passed out in the ambulance
Oh,
was Grateful Dead. It was Grateful
that's
Dead. At
right.
City Field. That's it. That was the last one. I haven't been
Oh my.
since.
Do you remember anything about that night?
I do, but it's all very hazy. Um, I remember John Mayer being phenomenal. First of
Yeah.
all, I remember
Yeah.
his solo. Like for what I do remember, I remember him anytime he was doing a solo was just magic.
Yeah.
My dad, a big Dead guy as well, and he's kind of put me on to different stuff throughout the years with them. I remember, I remember like looking up in the sky and seeing like bird or not birds, excuse me, planes flying overhead because it's
Right.
right in that area or whatever, and they almost looked like they were like swooping down close to the stadium. I was off one that night, but it
Oh
was
my
that
God.
and John Mayer being phenomenal.
John Mayer is an amazing guitarist. Yeah,
Yep.
he's really good. And I've seen the original Dead with Jerry, but he's terrific with them.
Yep.
It's nice that they're still around and playing those songs and getting out every now and then. Yeah, but I
Absolutely.
forgot about that night.
Yeah,
Oh my God, that's
I do feel like I need to make a return because I like the energy and everything going on with their fans and everything. It seems like a great time and a great event. But I don't know, maybe like the Sphere or something is really interesting to me out in Vegas. I would love to see something there, anything
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
So
for
you know,
sure.
their shows looked amazing.
Yeah, yeah. They've had the Eagles there. U2 was there.
Yep,
Obviously, the Dead, Fish, I think, were there.
yep,
So yeah, more and more are definitely going to start going there, and that's owned by Dolan, right? The guy who owns
yep,
the Garden.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yep,
So, um, so let me. I got a couple more questions for you.
absolutely, yeah,
What you famously talk about salt life and
yes,
your love of salt life. So
absolutely.
describe for me the perfect salt life day,
Wow.
and as a follow up, give me a musical or a couple of artists that would kind of mirror what's a perfect salt day.
I got you. I actually have a playlist. I have 2 playlists really that encompass it. One is called Beach Driving, and the other is
Okay.
called the Columns, which I think I actually mentioned on the show at one point. But there's a bar in Jersey called the Columns, and it's my spin, the Columns, on the type of
Okay.
music that they would play there, kind of like the classic rock, um, Bruce energy type vibe. Um,
Mhm.
let's see. In terms
Yeah.
of the
What?
day
Yeah.
overall, though, you wake up maybe a little hungover from the night before, just a tad,
o-
nothing too crazy.
Okay. Okay.
Wake up in the morning. Uh, Typically in Jersey, when you stay over anywhere or your own home, whatever, someone runs out in the morning and gets bagels. That is like the thing on a weekend is someone went out and got bagels. So you're having a
Okay.
bagel, a little pork roll, egg and cheese action, uh, ultimate salt life, high sodium life there on that
Hmm.
end.
Yeah.
Then you're probably gonna hang out a little by the pool, catch a little like morning rays. It's very quiet. You're kind of catching up on the day. Maybe take a
Okay.
quick dip, or you're immediately sending it to the beach. No matter what shape form you're in, you're just getting on whatever you can, grabbing a beach chair, grabbing a couple waters, Gatorades, whatever, and putting them in a cooler and heading to the beach. And now that's where the music comes in because the beach drive is part of the peak salt life experience. You got to go
Okay.
windows down, music rolling, and it's got to be a mix of, as I said, Bruce obviously, but some Bob Marley in there. I think Zach
Nice.
Brown band. Some more recent stuff would be like even like Zach Bryan, Morgan Wallen are guys that I really
Yeah.
like in country.
Okay.
Would certainly play there as well. I'm looking through this playlist too as I'm going through. Um, see some like even like some Santana plays there. Uh, just a good mix of there's a certain even like the Police is a good vibe to that too.
Okay.
Just something that
Interesting.
yeah, it's got to encompass just that like either tropical or rambunctious like beachy energy, fun summer day energy to be the soundtrack to your salt life.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
can you have a salt life in the winter?
It's tougher. It's tougher for sure. Like the whole reason for it is the summer, the sunshine, the beach. I mean, most of Jersey becomes a ghost town
Right.
during that time. So that's why my family and or myself, try to plan a little something to get away, whether it's Florida or maybe like you go to the islands or something. But I had a recent trip to Miami that was kind of in the tail end of winter, whatever, and that was kind of my kickoff. Speaking of like Bad Bunny too, is a more recent guy that plays into that salt life kind of vibe as well. Some Latin music could play there too.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Um, what what do you miss most about
Ooh.
being a KMS producer? And
I
what do
say that.
you miss the least?
Yeah. I mean, there's not really much that I miss the least. Um, I'd say it is sometimes easier just to be a fan. Where it's not where the show world doesn't have to be 24/7.
Right.
Obviously, that is also simultaneously what makes it the best.
Yeah.
But when you're in it and things are spiraling and going bad or whatever, like you're in it. And that's KMS, that's Barstool in general. That's, being online in general. It's a tough thing to balance.
True. Very
What
true.
I miss the most, and I think it comes across even when I go back and help out or whatever, is drops. Like I loved looking for drops. I loved kind of cutting stuff up and finding something funny that I don't know if it'll play or not. Um, but getting deep in the weeds of drops was always a nice thing to do.
You were terrific at it. You were really
Thank
good
you, I
at it.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
On top of that, I'd say it's tough because it is also like the 24/7 thing of it all. Like when Dave, Kirk, and Justin are talking about something on the show where they're not specifically saying what it is, that is infuriating because I know in the past I was in on those conversations. Like I knew what was happening at all times. So now
Right.
being on the outside and not having that behind the curtain look is brutal at times for me. And then honestly, just like the camaraderie of stuff too. Like we have the team and everything, and we have these practices and games, and I'm not there right now, and that all sucks. Like I genuinely
Yeah.
love doing all that. So yeah, I'd say it's a mix of all that.
Yeah. Um, you're coming up this weekend, or will you be at this weekend's practice?
I'm not.
Or
I
you?
have to work Saturday, Sunday, and then
That's right.
Monday I took off for this game. So
Right.
I figured I'll just drive all the way up and take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, and what's your prediction for the game?
I think we win. I think it's going to be a close fight again. I think
Do you
we've
know
upgraded.
what's the
What
current
was that?
line? Do you know what the current line is?
I have no clue. I thought Kirk the other day had said maybe 4.5. Was that what he said? Um,
Sounds about right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. I think we're going to be underdogs. I think everyone views us as underdogs. We've yet to have a win. So, I think all that factors in, but I think there's this underlying spirit within the team that is cinema. I mean, it's apparent with how invested his family has been, how his brother is literally playing with us now, how all of us were touched by him and
Yeah. Absolutely.
shared those moments together when everything happened. So I think I hate to do like the whole storybook, Disney movie thing, but that really is at the core of everything we're doing here. If we don't win, it's all for naught. So I think that extra fire and energy has been apparent in all the tape I've seen of everything. And I think it's going to show. I really do think it's going to show. It's my main reason for wanting to play in this game. So
Yeah. He was one of, and it's been talked about over and over the last
yeah,
month or so. But I met him for literally a minute, but always warm, gracious, friendly. Uh, Responded to DMs. Just
the best. Yeah.
seemed like a genuinely great guy, and he's definitely missed in the universe for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
to spin it back to music real quick, his performance of Uncle Cracker in Laconia was amazing.
that's
Follow Me, I think, is the song. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Speaking of Laconia, I mean, I was getting nervous when you started missing free throws. I
Yeah,
didn't think that show was going to start on
yep,
time.
yep. I did as
Luck-
well. Listen, I mean, I didn't know I was doing that until like half an hour, 45 minutes or whatever it was before. Um, So, you go out there, you feel out the rim. I think it was a generous backboard, so that helped
yes,
a little bit too. And I think if we're talking Coach Kirk here, I think Coach Kirk was smart to maybe throw that in so that maybe regular free throws in a big game don't seem as scary. So,
that's
you know,
that's
he's
next
always
that's next level thinking. Next
yeah,
level
he's
thinking
he's
right there.
he's two
Yeah.
steps ahead. So I think
Awesome.
that might have been the move. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for doing this, Chris. Jack, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Chris.
You sound like my parents.
That's right. And
I do have a quick question for you.
oh, sure.
With tracks 2 coming up, what is your personal plan for diving into all of that?
I am gonna so luckily for me, that comes out on Friday the 27th. On
Okay.
Saturday the 28th, I'm driving down to Philly. I'm going to
Okay.
see a concert Saturday night at the Brooklyn Bowl in Philadelphia. So I'm going to spend my drive. I'm just going to start at disc one and run my way through it,
Wow.
and then kind of loop back. There's a couple of discs that I'm especially looking forward to. There's one from 1983, which
Yep.
was recorded right around the same time as he was doing Born in the USA, and so I'm anxious to hear that.
Have you
And
checked
then
out any of the singles as well that have come
yes,
out?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess one, do you like any of those? And then two, like in terms of these albums that you're now mentioning, like where do those fall within everything? I've basically listened to every one that's dropped out or that's
Yep.
dropped since. Um, what do you think so far, though?
Um, so I'd like what, generally speaking, I like what I've heard. But my favorite song so far is Repo Man,
Okay.
which is more rockabilly.
Yep.
Um, I do like Blind Spot as well, which is so. So let me take a step back. So this collection, there's one disc from the 80s, like
Yep.
1983. The rest of the discs are from like 93 to forward.
Right.
So there's a whole album that's going to sound a lot like the streets of Philadelphia.
Yep.
There's a whole album that's going to sound Joe Ghost of Tom Joad like.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, the song "Rain in the River," which was the first one he released,
Yep.
sounded like the Wrecking Ball era, which was
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2012.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I've heard so far kind of is like I'm hearing bits and pieces of other songs that
Right.
maybe he took a part of Rain in the River and used it in Easy Money, which ended up on Wrecking Ball, or Repo Man. There's a similarity to Redheaded Woman. So
Right.
you're kind of hearing
And
a bit
what's
of
it? I thought Adelita sounds kind of like Western Stars a bit. Am I off on that, or?
it was actually, I would say it sounds more like a Jode record.
Okay.
Or like there's a song Black Cowboys, which is on Devils and Dust, which
Yeah.
the musically it's very similar.
Gotcha.
And that song was developed right around the same time as Jode.
Right.
And this album Inyo, which is one of the discs,
Okay.
Inyo, which is it's a mountain range in California. Um, this is kind of known in the community as Jode 2.
Right.
So there was a scenario where he put out Tom Jode, and then he was going to release another album that sounded like Jode. But I
Okay.
think common sense got to the best of them and said, you know what, with all this quiet music for all these years, maybe it's time to strike up the E Street Band again. And
Totally.
they put that album on the shelf and kind of went out with the original tracks, and then the reunion tour started in the spring of '99.
Gotcha.
But there is a and the guys on None But the Brave talk about this. There is
Right.
an alternative path that Bruce, instead of if he released that second Jode-like album, that would have pushed the reunion forward a few more years, and you
Uh-huh.
may not have gotten the Rising
That's interesting.
because or it would have been everything would have been pushed forward a little bit.
Right.
So all alternatively, in 1995, he got the E Street Band together and recorded a couple of new songs for the Greatest Hits collection.
Yep.
That was in the winter of '95. Now, what if he had decided at that point to bring the E Street Band back together and out on tour? Maybe you don't get the Ghost of Tom Joad album and tour at that point. So it's a
That's
whole
interesting. Yeah.
but literally he was working on 3 albums and completed like 3 albums in those mid '90s years that are just going to see the light of day now, which is incredible.
So which one would Blind Spot fall on? Because that personally so far has been my favorite.
So Blind Spot, I think, is going to be on the Streets of Philadelphia
Gotcha.
collection. So
Okay.
and again, fans like Kirk and the guys on None But the Brave call that the hip hop album because it
That's
has a
what I
lot of
kind of thought. Yeah,
yeah.
because I had
That's
heard them reference it, and I thought with that song, and given that I do have a lot of love for hip hop, I thought the beat and everything just kind of it was different. It was a Bruce that I hadn't really experienced personally, so I was interested in that. Yeah.
yeah. There's also a song that was on the Dead Men Walking soundtrack from like '95 or '96.
Okay.
Sean Penn was in that movie.
Yeah.
It's called Missing, and it has a similar. If you look that song up too, you'll find a similar, beat to
Perfect.
that.
Yeah, I'll add
So
that as well. That's awesome.
there you
Um,
go.
Interesting, good stuff.
Yeah.
I also have on the rap side of things, big album this week, the Carter 6, Lil Wayne, coming out Friday. That's a big one for me.
Oh, is it?
All
Okay.
Yes, all of his Carter albums are like his considered his best, and since I was listening to rap, I think Carter 3 or heading into 4 was really where I got invested. So this is a big one with the Carter 6. So coming
Mhm.
Friday. So that'll bookend the month, and we'll end with Bruce for me. So
It's funny you mentioned it, and just one more thing before I let you go is I don't know what song inspired me, but I created over the weekend an old school hip hop playlist
oh, shoot it
that,
over. I would
that
love that.
that currently is 66 songs. I mean, it's from I think it's nothing before the year 2000, but
That's fine. I'm wearing my Outcast shirt right now. So
there we go.
I'm with
Yeah.
you.
So I'm looking at it, Queen Latifah and Salt and Pepper and
Yeah.
Coolio and
Public Enemy back then. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yep, Tribe and De La
Absolutely.
Soul. Yeah.
Yep.
So I've been listening to that quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely shoot that over. I'd love to hear
I,
that.
I will. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate it, Jack, and good luck
Absolutely.
next Monday with the team. Hope you
Yeah,
guys
let's get a
come up
win.
with a win. All
Let's
right,
get a
and
win.
and thanks for everybody for listening, and we will talk to you soon.